Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game of the Max and part 8 of our Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich, the Russian Empire. So, in the last episode, we had finally been able to do our first step to the Rally of the People's Monarchists, with us doing the Plagues of Democraticism. Um, we were able to do that. We've started to do some of our military focuses in preparation for our war um, against Germany and the Reichspakt. I would just like to say this is a very, very stacked Reichspakt right now. I mean, this is pretty much everything they could get, except for we might get Yugoslavia and Romania later on. We can get them if we capitulate Ukraine. So something we'll have to look forward to. We also have to hope that the Commune of France, with the help of the Spanish socialists, may be able to help us. But it looks like the United States military administration is going to win over here in the United States Civil War and join the Entente relatively soon after. So I might make friends with the Entente instead of the International, because we will be fighting communism or syndicalism. I'm sorry, at the end. So we will probably be doing that, and that's the decision focus through here. It's approach the Entente instead of the Comma Training Center, and then we can agree to white peace with the Entente if they exist. So, or I'm sorry, depending on our leverage, we may be able to force the International to white peace with the Entente if they exist. So that would be something that'd be interesting. So we're gonna keep going on. There's a few things that we can do still. We can do this part. We're not gonna do the preemptive war just yet because it's still 1940, so we still have another year. We can do these two. Would like to do this at some point, and we really need to be working on our military over here. I decided to go against the artillery, which is kind of sad. This is usually always the path I go down, but we're going to go down. The new cavalry will be going down, the tanks, motorized, mechanized, the horses, all of that we will be doing. Um, so yeah, I'm actually kind of excited to continue on doing this. We still have a few more focuses up here in our um, I guess political branches here. The biggest thing was I wanted to see what you guys would rather see with getting rid either the going towards a unitarian state or going with the streamline the autonomies. I didn't get anybody saying anything, so I'll probably just do streamline the autonomies. Uh, I, I don't. I know this will hurt our chances of it disables the creation of several post-war autonomies. Um, Autonomies, if I'm not mistaken, are in our states. I know this is kind of a long talk. I think this is what you would consider an autonomy. But I could be wrong. It could be like a puppet or something. I'm not totally worried about it. So, without further ado, let's start up on the episode and get this game of playing. We're doing Ghost right now, which gives us cheaper infantry and support equipment, um, which will be nice. It's always nice. We do need to start saving up for political advisors, but we've really been trying to do most of our different things going on. And when we do the destroy the SRV, which we clicked on the last time, we will get rid of the activity of Union to revive the Republic. So I think this autocratic one is the last one for influence with Germany, but we shall see with that. Cannons for our planes. We'll do the heavy machine guns. Actually, we'll do, yeah, heavy machine guns. Dukes, let's do... So you can do either air superiority plus range, or you can do extra range. So you get 20% range, which is really good. You can get range down here as well, but you're gonna get a boost to range anyway. So my thought is air superiority is probably the best up here. Um, Reliability is usually pretty nice. Air attack, air defense. Probably go with the air attack. Um, you might want to like do range here, agility here. I'm gonna do full air superiority up here, and then do like, so if we do this, we'll get 15 range and 10% air superiority. I think the 15 air superiority and just the 5 range is a little bit better, but we'll do this one first. Not not horribly worried about the range of our planes because we'll be able to secure this area pretty well. History of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, the now infamous anti-Semitic fabrication first surfaced in Russia in 1903 and soon became widely circulated as a justification for pogroms. The protocols claim a global Jewish conspiracy infiltrated by Jews into Christian societies. They're conspiring with the Freemasons. Their plan to take control of the world economy. This conspiracy was quickly used to explain all the woes of the Russian Empire, the Russo-Japanese War, and the revolutions of 1905, 1917, and 1918, chiefly spread by the Black Hunterist organizations. The text raised controversy already in 1903. The critics of the authenticity has pointed to the vagueness and lack of sources given in the protocols. Eventually, Pyotr Stolpin's government banned circulation of the text's fabrication, citing that a good cause cannot be funded by false means. This did little, and the protocols were spread during the Civil War as part of the white movement's propaganda against the Bolsheviks, and eventually spread to other parts of Europe too. By the 1930s, it had been gradually accepted the protocols are a fabricated text, but they're still used by anti-Semites, often arguing that while the historical facts of the protocols may be unproven, it does not make the main argument false, and in fact, the October coup even proved the conspiracy. It seems that these lies are terribly difficult to eradicate. What the heck? The government must act or blame freedom of press and consequences. Yeah, we need to start bringing our left-wing anger down. I think even if we get rid of this, we still have the anger. So I'm just going to lose the political power on that one. Okay, operations against the SVR. After some lobbying by the government, the Supreme Court has declared the support for the view of the Union of the Revival of the Republic, or the SVR, can be classified as a communist-aligned organization that has been shut down by the court. They cite the presence of communists such as Sergei Medvedev and Alexander Shlepnikov holding high positions in the SVR, and the SVR's inability or unwillingness to expel these people. A series of coordinated raids were conducted by the police, which led to the confiscation of SVR membership records, printing presses, and funds. Much of the leadership was arrested, although no real change can be made against charges can be made against many of them. An attempt to prosecute their leadership for conspiracy to overthrow the Constitution only passed through the courts in cases where actual communist connections were found, which meant that the majority of the SVR leaders could walk free. Still, the destruction of the SVR as an organization and the rest of its most left-wing members should give us some breathing room, even if the Republican opposition is likely even more bitter now. Finally, lose left-wing anger by -2, removes the activity of the Union to revive the Republic, changing popularity of paternal autocracy by 4%, change the popularity of social democracy by -4%, and social liberalism by -3%. So there's that. You still, I believe, can fall. Yeah, so you can still fall if it gets up to 10. So we want to get a bit down again. So got to bring it up to bring it back down, you know. We could do this one, and I think I might do it. Bring in the centralization of these guys. We could do this. Can't do these because we have to be at war, or 75% world tension, which we're not there just yet. Mongolia declared war on the Fangtang government. Why would you do that, Mongolia? Nationalization of the Sakhalin oil. Japanese presence in North Sakhalin is based on two treaties: Treaty of Portsmouth of 1905 and the Russo-Japanese Agreement of 1921. The latter, negotiated by Vasily Boldarev, then attaché to Japan, agreed on Japanese withdrawal from North Sakhalin and other occupied territories, and then withdrawing support from the Siberian rebel Ottomans Semenov and Kamakov. In exchange, Japanese zabatsus operating in Russia would be allowed to conduct business freely. What had for a moment seemed like potential military clash between Japan and resurgent Russia in 1921 was successfully de-escalated. Kita Kurofoto Shikyu Kamashiki Gaisha, or North Sakhalin Joint Stock Company, continued management of old fields in Oka and Kankili, which brought both development to northern part of the island. It's also clear that the company prioritized Japanese strategic interests over Russian ones. And there was even discussions on nationalization already in 1928 in the aftermath of the Fangtang conflict. But now Russia has abandoned any semblance of respecting their treaties and have gone ahead with the nationalization plans. We'll take the rest one day. We gain 15 political power, and they lose the rights to North Sakhalin, which is just 7 oil. So, very nice. And I think that gives us... No, it does not. Germany buys up rubles. The Reichsbank has bought up rubles and is holding them in the Reichsbank's vault. This is an expensive trick for them, one they can afford through a strong mark and fund freed for after much German capital has fled Russia. In response, we may have the Russian state bank print more domestic circulation, but this would drive up inflation. Counteract this by printing more. We lose 100 political power. Or we get right-wing anger changes about 1, lose 5% stability, 5% war support, and 5% popularity of authoritarian democracy. I'm just going to have to eat that loss of political power. So lose 100 political power, gain 2 popularity for authoritarian democracy. I know that might not sound like it makes sense, but losing stability like that and losing the war support is just like a kick in the teeth. General Denkin causes a scandal. No. The old peasant marshal caused a slight political scandal as he was caught in the middle of a drunken rant at an officers' ball hosted to celebrate Emperor Vladimir's birthday. Anton Denkin loudly complained about eunuch aristocrats caring for the favor of a foppish Tsarevich from fashion magazines, and the German baron is orchestrating it all from the shadows, claiming that the proponents of monarchy should be put to till the land for a couple of years so that they might learn how real life works. Denkin is known for these outbursts, but this one ended up causing so much outrage on the right that many are wondering if the old General Field Marshal is mentally fit for his task anymore. It is also well known that Denkin has always supported the Cadet Party, and these insults are implicitly directed at a party that ended up supporting monarchical restoration. As damage control, the media has been told that Denkin had simply had far too much vodka that night, and these should not be taken as his serious political views. He's a grumpy old man, but he won't save Russia after all, or use this as grounds to move him into an honored retirement. We lose him as a field marshal, and we change popularity to market leaders on -2%. I will not retire him because he actually is just an amazing field marshal. And we'll just lose that 20 political power. So we're at -88. Yay! I know you guys can hear the excitement in my voice. Let's see. There. Can't do that yet. Equipment conversion will be important. For some reason that has something you can do with, but we don't ask. Alright, for Obkov, you're for towed artillery. We're doing something else with towed artillery. Towed anti-tank, heart attack, piercing better, or we can make it cheaper, but we get less efficiency cap. I kind of want to make him just better. I know Russian armor is gonna, or German armor is gonna be a pain, so let's get some of the best anti-tank we can build. It'll be a little bit more costly, but we have plenty to build with, so need a lot of equipment coming in, but we shall be getting quite a bit in. We are positive on everything, so that is a good sign. There's Ghost done, or I guess that's Gost, isn't it? G-O-S-T. And then we need to do Detroit on the Volga. Aircraft cheaper would be very nice. Let's do this. We'll get the radar stations up and running, and that was a 28-day focus there. So we'll start working on that. Mongolia has decided to just go crazy. I don't even think we can assist them on this one. Maintain government has capitulated, but the Chinese United Front is still alive and kicking, and it is all of China. So we'll see. We'll see if the Chinese United Front will hold. I have quite a strong belief that they are plenty strong enough by themselves to win it. And right now, the Princely Federations is winning quite well and quite handedly down here. Trying to think. We're going to need, for sure, better engineer companies. We're going to need to doing research down those as well. I will be improving my relations with the Princely Federation. I'm going to try to get them to join us. Don't know if I can get them to, but I'm going to try to. State corporation dividends. The nationalization of foreign companies has had its benefits because the state has acquired so many of these. The national budget is doing well overall. This is not only good for us, but the proof that the Russian economy can hold its own without influence of predatory German businesses. Business is booming. We gain 1 civilian factory in Vladivostok, and we gain 20 political power. That's actually quite nice. It's a nice change of pace from what we have been getting, which is a big kick in the teeth. Could do this for the stability, which would be quite nice. The consumer goods factors would be nice. How much of that do we have? We have 35. I think that'd be worth it. We'll get some more back. Let's see. We'll get some here. We'll lose some there. We'll gain some there. We need to do these two as well before 1940. So, yeah, I think we can afford that. It'll boost our economy just a little bit. 180 days, we'll get some stability. Or 480 days, we'll have that extra stability. So, get the Rus system done. I just do the Chinese frontier. Right, I did say I was going to do the approach the Entente. We'll send them like 3,000 guns in total. Get cheaper convoys. Consumer goods factor -5%, and we get 2 free dockyards. So we'll do that. Might have to improve relations with these guys. Nope, they like us really well, and they like us enough. So flamethrower tanks. The fall of Mexico City. So the United States has taken Mexico City there. If you'd like to read that, it just talks about the Mexico City has fallen. Alright, there goes Mexico. Now that frees up the rest of their troops to move up here to fight the constitutional coalition under Quentin Roosevelt. But yeah, it looks like MacArthur is going to win this out. He's going to puppet Mexico. Bulgaria declares war on the United States of Yugoslavia. Okay. Well, I don't think they're a part of any faction. They're not. So, I don't think... yeah, and then Greece joins the Belgrade Pact. So, goodbye, Bulgaria, for the, like, second time now. Support. Let's do an armored maintenance company for our tanks that we're going to be getting. I think that makes the most sense. Man, Bulgaria is just going to get blitzed through. I was hoping to defeat Iran, but they actually gave me my territory back. So, that's what I get. So, 8 new divisions. We'll put you under them. And you guys can fall under a different general. Someone who's good at mountains. Or at least someone who could be a mountaineer, I guess, would be probably the best. Maybe you, Max Ryder. I want you to be around Georgia. I'm going to build some more special forces teams for mountaineers to be our main attack against Georgia. Do better radars. Better production efficiency cap for fighters. Support. Expansion of anti-communist laws. Upon notice of latent unrest and agitation by radical Republicans, anti-radical laws have been expanded. In addition to communistic and Svobodnist agitation, they now include any agitation for the overthrow of the Constitution of the Russian Empire, which essentially makes republicanism illegal. As expected, these laws generated a great burst of protest, but armed with new legal backing, the state's monopoly on violence could strike back hard. Thousands of people were arrested using one new clause and tried for conspiracy against the Constitution of the Russian Empire. In subsequent reparations, many anti-monarchist publications were banned and organizations abolished as illegal. They wanted war. We gained 4% stability, change in popularity of social liberalism, -4%, and social democracy. Okay. Do you for 2 civilian factories? I kind of want to get these guys. Improved tanks. Tankograd. I like the name. Oil. I'm gonna actually do the oil field there. That'll be quite useful when we can get them a cord territory. I don't believe. Oh, this is cord already. Awesome. I don't think you guys are cored yet. No, these territories will be cored at some point soon. So we're allowing compliance to be gained. We've got our spies down here working. So it looks like the Baradius People Republic is losing pretty heavily. So we're gonna do this for some speed and organization. Wow, Japan is doing better than what I thought they would do. The Nanjing nationalist government there has beat Mongolia pretty handedly. So, approach the Entente, heavy machine guns. Let's see. We could go ahead of time on these engines, but I think it would be better if we would do. Better MPs would most definitely be nice. I love railway guns. So I'm gonna try to get some railway guns built. You might be saying, but Max, railway guns aren't that great. That's fine. I like them. I could do some air defense on my planes, but attack, attack, attack sounds better. So we're just gonna do attack and then another attack. So it'd be 15% attack bonus. I don't think they'll have anything that will be able to defeat that. So let's do. We could address the people. It gives a little some left wing anger, gains us a lot of stability in. This will also. This will move us away from export focus into limited exports. Left wing anger will go down a little bit. Really, I need to get down to here and start doing these ones. So we also get 20% monthly population and recruitable population. So let's do a towards a unitarian state. For the entirety of its duration, the Russian experiment with federalism has been marred with inefficiencies, particular tendencies, and corruption. We cannot attack it directly yet, but there are several measures we can do or can be introduced to centralized power of the federal government. As its first steps, we will abolish the elections of commissars and our oblasts and gubernaries. Once people are more used to the idea of direct rule from Moscow, federalism will retreat further. Again, I don't know if that's the right answer, but a strong federal government for us, I think, would be better than like how we had the puppets down here that didn't work and they rebelled against us. I think it's better for us just to take over. We could do the railway national. Get rid of our German debt to the Germans. Does look like there's the fall of Delhi. So let's see. Yep, the Dominion of India has taken Delhi from the Baradius People's Republic, and the Russo-Canadian Trade and Credit Agreement. The treaty has been ratified that ensures unhindered trade between the Entente powers and the access to foreign credit through the Anglo-French banks. Additionally, our representatives is allowed to observe meetings of the Imperial Economic Development Council. In exchange, we shall sell a predetermined amount of crude oil and minerals necessarily for military technology to our allies and agree to a number of military production contracts. With the agreement, both sides will surely benefit. We get Ruskapa, which grants convoy production at cost negative 10%, consumer good factors minus 5%, 2 off map dockyards. Canada likes us a little bit more. We get the event Russia free of German influence. The Dominion of Canada gets 1 off map military factory and 1,000 units of Russian equipment. Is added to their stockpile. They also get 2,600 fuel. Russia free of German influence. At long last, the Russian Empire is free of German influence. For all of modern Russian history, our industry and natural resources have been subject to foreign interest, be they French, British, American, or German. But with extensive reconstruction of our economy, this is no longer the case. Factories and railroads built with foreign cash are now entirely in Russian hands, and they will remain so. We gained 50 political power from that. We removed the German economic influence, which gave us negative 1% war support, plus 1% research speed, and target country trade costs minus 10%. Never again subjugated. Very nice. We could do some of these. Let's see. Petroleum. I'm not too worried about petroleum right now. We'll need it at some point. We can do for this, the civilians, and that finishes out the industrialization of Siberia. and we are building a bunch of military factories right now, which will be very, very, very important coming up soon. I'm still building light tanks. I will be moving to a heavy and a medium tank. And there we go. We got the collateral of the Russian-German trade war over, which gave us negative 5% stability and 4% plus for consumer good factors. So my consumer good factors is at 33, which is not bad for the amount of factories we have. Engineer companies level 2. Um, it'd probably be worth getting logistic companies, to be honest with you. The motorized military police will also be really good. And armored engineers. Let's start getting armored engineers. We're still selling a lot of equipment. We can get some panhards. I did just see that. Panhard trucks. We've got a lot of trucks, but the more trucks you get, might as well get them. These are, don't really need panhard trucks. They said I have, what, 6,000 trucks? Really? We go full motorized, it's not going to be enough. Wow, the Empire of Japan is actually winning. There's the fall of Sacramento in the United States. It looks like the United States Military Administration is gonna. Well, it was already pretty much determined that they were gonna win, but it's like the nail in the coffin has kind of shown up. Let's see, we can get a little bit more oil. We'll just start doing you to get our military a little bit better. Get through the towards a unitarian state. We will get centralizing of the federal system. The Philippines joins the co-prosperity sphere. Okay, the tide shift towards Tokyo. It's one world tension there. So, let's see. Where are you? Your market level. It's kind of weird that they joined the Japanese, but it does look like China is falling pretty fast, which I'm a little bit shocked by. But we will get weekly stability minus 0.10% compliance growth speed, negative 33% for a full year. Once that's done, we get 150 political power and plus 10% stability. We at Legel, we removed the Davinsk Autonomous Zone, and Bukhara, Tashkent, Ashgabat, and 7 others lose 15% compliance, but they do lose 10% resistance. So the Shetilov report on the development of the German military in 1936 to 1939 in relation to the Russian national security interest, composed by General Pavel Nikolaevich Shetilov, the 5th Department of the General Chief of Staff of War Ministry. Synopsis. The German military is the main point of comparison we refer to when we evaluate the ability of the Russian army to power project in Europe. Based on a 1935 evaluation of the Russian and German armies, it seems likely that the German army would suffer from multiple organization and material challenges should the war have happened at that point. However, the German general staff has woken up to this threat after the global upheaval of 1936. The German army has increased its number greatly after 1936, especially in terms of armored vehicles and bombing aircraft. Organizational reforms in the German army are especially geared towards increasing the fighting ability of the Heer in a possible future conflict. Based on the calculations by the 5th Department, the German military advantage compared to the Russian army and to their other potential enemies, the French army, is growing rapidly. Our intelligence has acquired reasonable evidence that the German military political leadership is actively pursuing offensive military planning, chiefly Fall Scharnhorst, an invasion of France, and as a means to secure Germany's western flank in a potential war against Russia. Thus, the War Ministry recommends the immediate preparation of a preemptive operation against any German attempt to drastically change the military strategic status quo of Europe within the next year. If such operations are not undertaken, Germany's military supremacy on the European continent will become impossible to challenge by only the Russian army. Publish it or keep it private. If we publish it, we gain 4% war support. World tension will increase by 2.2. German Empire gains outraged, and the German Empire will gain intel over the Russian Empire, civilian intelligence, and army intelligence 1%. So, do we want the war support or do we want a little bit of stability? I think it would be, I think like to hype up. Oh man, like the big bad Germans are coming. That would be probably why you would publish it. But if we don't publish it, I don't think anything bad happens, and we just gain a little bit of stability. So we're gonna need stability because we're gonna start losing it here pretty soon anyway. So I'm just gonna keep it private. We're already ready for war. Look at that, 100%. We're gonna absolutely start to consolidate and really drive home into them when we are able to. So, let's see, Gronsky Fields. Let's do improved IMZ. I'm not sure if we're even using the IMZ, to be honest. They sell. I'm just gonna make them cheap. Someone will want to buy these junk. And we're already out of surplus there, so that's the most important thing about selling this stuff, is just to get a good surplus going on. The Germans demand compensation. I think I'm just gonna pay because I'm tired of getting these. Where is it at? Trade sanctions. They'll removed November 10th. I don't want to keep getting those, so I'm just gonna lose the political power. The other claimants, the overwhelming majority of the monarchists in our country see Tsar Vladimir III as the head of the House of Romanov, as the oldest male descendant of Alexander II, the Liberator. However, there's a small number of people who consider the true emperor and autocrat of all Russia to be not the Vladimir III, but Prince Gregory Brusov, the only son of the murdered Mikhail, the brother and heir of Nikolai II. Using a rather specific interpretation of a somewhat confusing act of succession to the throne, primarily Article 28, which states the succession of the throne belongs above all to the eldest son of the reigning emperor. This group of people claim that the ascension of Mikhail II to the throne within a single day in March 1918, his wife and son, even in Morgantic, automatically became empress and Tsarevich, respectively, making Gregory the legitimate head of the Romanov family and the rightful claimant to the throne. Prince Brusov himself does not support these views and prefers to stay out of politics, considering that Vladimir III, as the head of the dynasty, despite the rather strained relations to the other members of the imperial family with his adored mother, Natalia Brusov, he enjoyed life and his hobby, sports car racing, as Grand Prince Romanovsky Brusov. He has nothing else but his father's name. We lose 1% stability. Well, there you go. Me keeping it quiet let me just lose it to the prince. People not understanding people, so most definitely do not need this many convoys being built. I would rather you build these cruisers and the submarines, please. We have a lot of trains, but trains will be absolutely blown to smithereens when the war starts. Whoops. Like, man, why isn't this going? It's because I didn't hit play. And there you go. United States of the United States military administration has won. The end of the American Civil War is over. The Second American Civil War, the bloodiest conflict ever to send on the New World, is over, and as sobbing widows bury their dead husbands and sons, the old U.S. regime has been replaced by a reactionary military dictatorship that has vanquished all rivals. General Douglas MacArthur has issued a nationwide crackdown on all possible enemies of the state, undergoing syndicalists and long-list remnants, and the nation is slowly starting to rebuild. The United States return to democracy, where the legacy of the founding fathers be crushed under the leaders' boots. Only time will tell, but this war will be etched into the consciousness of the American people forever. What effect will this have on the American dream? Okay, and we're back. I'm sorry, I clicked on the United States for a second time in 2 episodes, and it has crashed my game. So there we go. The second crash of this series because of me clicking on the United States. We are back on October the 1st, so whatever comes up that we have already read, we won't read. So there you go. The United States has won. The military administration has won. And the end of the American Civil War has occurred. Boy, that is so annoying. I think that's happened every time I've clicked on them so far, which I need to stop clicking on them. I just don't think about it. I'm like, oh, I want to see what their focus is. Boom. Got a crash. Dominion of India and the Princely Federation have taken their states, respectively, and the Brattias People Republic has been annexed. There you go. They have surrendered. Uncertain times in India. We'll see now if I click on India, I don't crash. Sorry, I was getting a little annoyed there. United States of Yugoslavia had declared war on Croatia. Croatia has popped up. Now we've got towards a unitarian state. We will restore the AMTORG just to do it real quick. That gives us another negative 10% consumer good factors, which is quite nice. Look over here, Yugoslavia. I need you to beat Croatia. Bulgaria is pretty much gone. Anywho. Let's see. Tenkolgrad, that's just done. Can reform the Kazakh host, which we will do. And we can also abolish, let's see, we have 12 divisions in the state. What state be that? Right here. So give me... The restoration of labor camps. After the mass police campaigns against the Republicans, the Russian legal system is straining under its weight. It is quickly dawned on us that a mass suppression of this scale needs an expanded prison system, which does bring very depressing memories of Tsarist and Savinkovist oppression. It is possible to reopen some of the Savinkov era camps to house prisoners in them, but it'd be best to rebrand them into something else, such as penal labor colonies. What else can we do? Gain base stability plus 5%, replaces moderate and pure popularity with lukewarm, which effective change we lose 10% war support. Change popularity paternal autocracy by 5, or absolutely not, we lose stability. Change popularity radical socialism. Well, let's just do this one. We'll lose a little bit of war support. We can gain it back though. Gain it back relatively easy. So don't have enough to make the tank I want right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. Let's see, do that. We need more review, more review, more review. Get on the trucks right now. Let's start building planes as best as we can. So, alright. We are going to need rubber. I just realized that, which is fine. We'll get rubber from somebody. Somebody will sell me rubber. Minister of War calls emergency meeting. General Field Marshal Peter Wrangel has requested an emergency meeting of the cabinet to discuss actions the government will be taking following the Shatalov's report's recommendations. Chairman Minister Ivan Slovovich was undeniably bitter about such a request, as it showcases how the Minister of War is in practice more powerful than the head of government if push comes to shove. It was no ordinary cabinet meeting either. The Minister of War, Peter Wrangel, was essentially requesting the Emperor's permission to start preparations for Operation Yekaterina, the preemptive invasion of German-controlled Eastern Europe. While the decision of war and peace rests on the State Duma and the Emperor, the military only needs the permission of Ivan Slovovich to start implementing the necessary precautions in case of war. The implicit threat was clear. The army merely expects political backing for the already decided operation, and if that's not given, the government may lose the trust of the whole army. France will only start this war after us. I'm hurt he even doubted my patriotism. Activates mission prepared for Operation Yekter. Or what, you're going to arrange a coup. Actually, I think they do arrange a coup if you tell them no. And I think this gives me only a year. So I'm hurt he ever doubted my patriotism. I think that, like I said, I think that only gives us a year. Yeah, it does. Its event Wrangel marches into the Kremlin. So, if we are not at war with them. I do hate that about this. Like, if you say no, you get cooed. We are going to abolish the OSKAB, which gives us weekly manpower minus 150, negative 10% stability for 180 days. We change popularity of authoritarian democracy plus 3%. Vladikavkaz, Tariq, and Chechnya remove the special Caucasus autonomous areas, or OSKAB, which grants one max factory in state, strategic redeployment, stable yes, recruitable population minus 50%, local construction speed minus 15%, removes resistance from Vladikavkaz, and Turek adds a Kazakh host, which gives us 15% local supplies, minus one factory, and recruitable population plus 50%. We're going to do that. We need to save up. We will reform our Kazakh host, which gave us four something. I clicked it a little too fast, so. Damn that Peter Wrangel. Production conversion speed of 100%. Resources needed negative 40%. Production gain efficiency plus 40%, or production efficiency cap plus 10%. My toad anti-air. See, air attack plus 15, air attack plus 7, heart attack plus 100%, piercing plus 10%, plus 10% production cost, or soft attack and defense. I don't know. Anti-air is really just. Let me see. Let me get a let me take a little peek here. Anti-air. Let's see. Defense plus 2.4. Soft attack plus 1. Hard attack plus 4. To me, the 100% would be another 4. Just that 15% air attack, I think, would be a little bit better, in my opinion. It just makes it better against aircraft. So the Kazakh privileges and their hosts. The Russian Kazakhs roam the southern and eastern extremes of Russia, descending from military settlers of the steppe regions. Unique in culture and undoubtedly Russian, their hosts were given official autonomous status by the 1922 Constitution as a reward for their heroic efforts in the Civil War. Even though the Kazakhs do not form ethnic majorities anywhere else outside their own Satinsa villages, they generally own most land in the host, and though political power, or through political power and education access, form a privileged class compared to the common Russian tenant farmers and city dwellers. In exchange, the Cossacks serve in the army under their host Ataman, often being the first ones to be sent to quell regional unrest, be it in the North Caucasus, Turkestan, or the general civil unrest. To many, the Cossacks represent a remnant of the old aristocratic militarist imperial era, the garrison state under Nikolai I. Others view Kazakhstan as an integral part of Russia, a regional identity that must be supported. Despite any political or social questions, it must be admitted that Kazakhs serve as a useful, quick to deploy force against domestic unrest, which may be useful to any regime regardless of our idealism. They must be the forefront of our army. Increase the amounts of divisions spawned by mobilize the host national focus. Adds units to template Kashkia Divizia in the Russian Empire. Roman Ergen Sternberg and all of our cavalry officers get one logistic, and we replace our lukewarm imperial popularity with moderate. So let's do that. There's no negatives to do that. So, but now that they've sped up my timeline because Peter Wrangel is a son of a gun. When I get done with the restoring the AMTORG, jump over to start doing the finalize the operation Yekaterina. I also need to do these few. Political power or political advisor cost minus 33%, so very strong. Renard the Fox, after suffering through nearly 6 years of setbacks and delays due to audio issues, Vladislav Starovich's stop motion take on the classic tales of Renard the Fox has released to rave reviews and box office records. The story follows the adventures of the eponymous fox Renard as he uses his cunning and tricks to make fools of the whole menagering of other animals set by the king to put a stop to his antics. Critics and audience alike have praised the quality of its animation and dialogue. No doubt a relief for Starovich after the project spent more than half a decade in development. Nonetheless, given Renard's relevance to his native France, Starovich has come under fire from certain corners of alleged sympathies to the communards. Starovich himself has shot back, mocking the assertions that fairy tales from hundreds of years ago must be relevant or must have relevance to modern France, while emphasizing his opposition to the Bolsheviks in Russia's own civil war. Regardless, Renard the Fox has propelled Starovich's prominence even higher. No mean feat given the popularity of his earlier work stretching back decades, and which has earned him commendations from the Tsar himself. Interesting. Gained 5 political power. Alright, done with the AMTORG. Let's finalize the operations for Yekaterina, and then we need to do the 5th colonist, because all of those enabled decisions we need to do because we can't do them after we go to war. So very important we do those now. We don't really need to do that one right this second because the Zangji clique is not the East Turkestan, so these guys do not support us, I don't believe. So they're also already in their own faction, so they do not care. We got rid of the Middle Europa trade sanctions finally, so we got back where we lost plus 10% consumer good factors, minus 10% stability and resources to markets, minus 20%. So that's gone. Goodbye. Hasta la vista. Please don't come back. We could influence Poland. Not going to. Not going to do that either. We can support you. Not much. Let's do those two for the resources that we gain from that. And yeah, I was figuring we were going to need to start buying rubber. Probably just have to keep buying it from the Princely Federation. And I cannot afford to send you anything, sadly. Can I send you volunteers? I can send you 3, but if I click on lend our support, I can send an additional 2. See, the problem is I can send them as much support as I want. The Princely Federation will almost exclusively go with the Empire of Japan. I don't know if I've ever seen them go with Russia unless you like script it earlier. Um, doesn't mean I'm not going to try. I am going to send them some support. I am going to improve my relations with them. Um, we already are. I already clicked on that. And then I will send. Let's see, your strengthen, sabotage cost. That's not who I want. Capture cipher. That's not who I want. Seducer. Yeah, Welgrim is who I want. I want you to diplomatic pressure these guys. Bigger share? No, I don't need bigger share. Yes. And then let me come over here. Could I guess take some of my tank divisions? I don't think any of this land is very great for tanks. It's mostly deserts. And some plains there, mostly cities, so... Excuse me. The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You all will be under... maybe Anton Turkil. But Tsakovsky is pretty good too. We'll send him, I think. Send some air volunteers as well. So I can drop you guys out. Oh. When you all deploy, I just need you to jump over. Then I want 1, 2, and 2. What I want. You all will fly down to here. Let's see, we did this one. Let's see, fighter production cost or resources needed, but production. I just think it's after a while, the resources needed will actually really start to kick you in the teeth. Ooh. They are pushing them back. Put you guys up as air superiority fighters. These bombers up in maybe Gungate. Peter Rangel has definitely hurt me pretty hard, so just stop buying as much from you. I guess Siam would be the one I'd have to buy from right now. So you will join the Japanese here soon. The AMO. Do that one here soon as well. Taking that tile. Send our troops down. Let's see, torpedo cruisers, dreadnoughts. I really want the proximity fuses, so I'm gonna hold off on doing anything. I think this does make my submarines a lot better, though. The sub-visibility production costs a little bit more expensive, but that is actually really useful. So can't do this yet. Can't do any of these. So Let's see. I've got 5 units here. The problem is you really have to fight across the major river except for right in here. Gonna rush our troops over here. And here comes the Germans to also support. Go away, Germany. And the first goal, after nearly 2 decades of humiliation for Russia, will soon be ready to end the German hegemony. War is inevitable. It is a matter of time when it will start. The main question is who will get the upper hand by attacking the opposing sides. The Stavka already started drawing plans for Operation Yekaterina in 1934 on the orders of President Savinkov, and have continued preparing them under Peter Wrangel's direction. A number of possible plans have been presented to Vladimir III for final approval, but first we must figure out the specifics, the most pressing of which is the initial target of the strikes. General Shiov, the support of General Field Marshal Markov and other black epaulets, suggest striking deep into Ukraine, which has formidable armed forces, but one factor makes it an attractive target: its geography. Our armor and cavalry can outmaneuver the enemy in the plains of eastern Ukraine in a great battle of encirclement, and if the plan succeeds, we may be able to threaten Kiev and link up with potential allies in the Balkans. Generals close to Denkin, such as General Golovin, suggest a more direct approach, a heavy strike into White Ruthenia. The Dnipro-Dugava line may be a direct, difficult one to break. Advocates for this plan acknowledge, but if we gain the upper hand, the benefits will be incredible, and we can quickly press into Germany proper while cutting German forces into 2 separate fronts. Once Minsk falls, we'll be able to threaten Ukraine and the Baltics from the west and east and secure our flanks more thoroughly. I agree with the plan for White Ruthenia, but look at the terrain, right? A massive river. All of these are forts. These are the only 2 tiles without forts, or I'm sorry, without a river. Ukraine, on the other hand, yes, they have a massive river right outside of Kiev, but I can pretty much push in all the way to that massive river, because they don't have as much forts, as nearly as many forts. So we're just going to go with the Ukrainian territory. So the strategy for the Western March. We'll do that. And we'll do the 5th columnist as well. And Siam, I'm going to have to buy a lot of rubber from you, my friend. No, not really, my friend, but I'm going to build a few synthetic refineries up here in the north. I know you might be like, not as important. And a few fuel silos. I will need all of this for when I start having my massive tank army. Start just building a lot of military factories. Very nice to me. Strategies of the Western March. The Russian army is offensive in spirit and will, but the methodology of the offense can vary. The Russian army mechanization lobby, Markov, Shleshyov, Rodionko, Messner, and others see a surgical armored thrust as the obvious core of the offense. Our mobile and air force must be concentrated in a single force of unstoppable shot, capable of piercing through the enemy front, destroying the German armies in great battles of encirclement. However, this method we have no practical experience in. More careful planners such as Denkin, Kalsvin, and Golovin represent the opposite view, which seek a Nero-Sorovovian approach. Yes, armor is important, but only as one tool among many. The main focus is on firepower and the destruction of enemy forces, a state engine of destruction, which trusted methods apply to modern arms. If we do that, we get division speed plus 10%, armor division attack plus 10%, cavalry motorized mechanized attack plus 10%, or we get infantry division attack plus 5%, breakthrough plus 10%, artillery attack plus 10%, and motorized artillery speed plus 10%. You guys want to do this one, so mobility is key. Although I do love the infantry and stuff. Not how we're wanting to play this one out. So we get a basic medium tank. Get this thing built up. Better radios. Medium cannon. 3 reliability. What's making you so unreliable? I think just the chassis, probably. We'll actually probably go with a diesel engine. Trying to get that reliability just up a little bit more. And that's just too expensive. Okay. trucks. Ooh, actually. Right here. Get right there. Might be the move for us. The Germans are going to start moving in their armor. Let's see. I'm going to need to start building up my military relatively soon. You all can fall back under him. You will still be my Southern Command General for like Georgia. Your army will move against Estonia. Your army will shift to move here. Your army will move here. Your army will move here. Oh yeah, hold on. Delete that, please. Delete that, please. If I control shift, that's not what I wanted to do. Move you here. Move you here. Move you here. There we go. That leaves my armored divisions and my cavalry divisions on his. And you're not the... You're the Kaiserreich divisions. Alright. Yugoslavia has beaten Bulgaria. And it looks like they're about to defeat Croatia as well. I wonder if they're going to keep Bulgaria. You infantry expert. Makes sense to try to break through when we can break through. The psychology of the totalitarian mind. The Heidelberg-based Russian sociologist Sergei Stepanovich Chekhotin's magnum opus, The Psychology of the Totalitarian Mind, has been immediately lauded as a classic and a work that captures much of the zeitgeist of the 1930s, both in Russia and elsewhere. Chekhotin, who fled Russia in 1935 and has been an outspoken critic of totalitarianism in both Russia and Germany, has crafted a convincing narrative on the nature of these rabble-rousers of the modern age. Chekhotin identifies the key support base for all these movements, both Bolsheviks and Sobolniks, as inherently the same group of people, those left behind by rapidly modernized society and the rural poor who work in odd jobs, drifting from one place to another, never without proper foundation or identity. These groups are created by social inequality, and they breed bitterness, contempt, and fuel for political unrest. Should demagogues like Lenin, Savinkov, Schleisler, or Long offer them simple, strong leaders to follow. Focusing on the Russian situation, Chekhotin argues that because none of the underlying social issues that led to the 1917 revolutions were fixed, and the consequences, communism merely being banned, is only led to the same unrest and inequality channeling itself into a new breed of political movement, the SZRS. Furthermore, these movements are never generally interested, able, or willing to actually solve the social issues that fuel them. This makes these totalitarian movements inherently irrational and destructive, as they must find new groups to persecute and to show, or in a show to solve societal issues. The only leads to mass reparations repression, I'm sorry, Czechism, Savinkhov's, purges, and so on. It has no logical end. It is not founded on any logical premise. Chekhov's work has received much attention from anti-totalitarian politicians and widely thanked as a theoretical framework for proper explanation of the rise of these totalist groups. Yes, people need to know. We'll do this because I'm going to try to get to this. Actually, you know what? Will the fight start getting these armored divisions working? That is a very wide division for them. Low manpower, yeah, I see that. I'm gonna have to go up to like limited restriction almost immediately. More review, more review, more review, more tanks.
Вперед! Выходим! Вперед! Идем назад!
Armor trains do give anti-air if you're ever curious. I don't even think those will be out in time for the war, so let's just get better maintenance companies. We build a supply hub and a level 1 railway from Vermont to White Karelia, and towed artillery, rocket artillery, railway artillery, and trains. Production costs of negative 2.5%. Actually, quite strong. Alright, we can come over here. This takes power projection, so once we conquer Ukraine, we'll fully annex it. Our starting compliance will be higher. The effect of the national fears that reduces the war support and recruitable population. Upon a war, will heavily damage their forts. Upon a war with the Kingdom of Lithuania, will increase the chances of a lap coup happening after some time after the war begins, or coordinate with the Russian or the Polish committee. Let's do the anti-Germanism in Ukraine first. Should give you a negative buff there. Douglas MacArthur remains president. At the end of the Second American Civil War, the government of Douglas MacArthur, a military junta described by its head as a temporary measure, emerged triumphant. Within the crisis, however, came an erosion of support as Democrats and hardliners argued over whether the president ought to step down. Today, these arguments have decisively settled as Douglas MacArthur has announced his intent to remain president until the scars of the Civil War have fully healed. Is this the end of American democracy? Probably. I'm not going to click on him because I'm just going to... I'm going to pin you. March you guys across the river. Oh, he's going to try to save it. He will not save it. Push across. They're not going to save it. Armored support companies. Very loud. Let's do the better medium tanks. So less speed, less reliability, but a lot more armor. I don't want you guys attacking at all. There we go. So this is one massive pocket all lined with Russian troops.
Готов подвигаться. Выходим!
I just have to have my Indian allies there to close this pocket. If they can. Which they don't have any resources here anyway, so if it'd be better to me move these guys over here. Yeah, start having them knock out their logistics in that region.
Внимание!
Oh, I can actually move my fighters up here. I'm gonna try to clear out what I'm guessing are Entente planes. Ethiopia declared war on Eritrea.
Слушаю! Вперед! Выходим!
Eritrea revolts, yeah. I think it's essential
Выходим!
for guys.
Целюсь. Стоим, идем.
Joining this offensive.
Мы под огнем! Слушаю! Держать дистанцию!
Probably could capitulate them if we pushed a Lahore very hard, but clearing this pocket would probably be better. Croatia has been annexed. Yeah, we're starting to clear these guys up pretty quickly, actually.
Так точно!
Awarded victory. Do a new cavalry. Probably we'll switch everybody over to this with support artillery, support anti-air, and support anti-tank. These are very expensive. We should have plenty for the units we have right now. Might have to upgrade our other units at a later time. We're going to upgrade our guards divisions to that for right now.
Вперед! Выходим!
I know this is weakening the Entente, but I...
Готов! Выходим!
Better defense. The Patriotic Information Office. As a private project, a number of right-wing businessmen have funded the so-called Patriotic Information Office, with Ivan Alexandrovich Ilyin chosen as its head. Immediately, the office started to publish papers, leaflets, and even radio broadcasts featuring Russian conservative writers. Ilyin himself explained that the goal of the office is to counter the agitation and lies that are being spread about the emperor and the intents of the imperial government. In a widely circulated leaflet, Ilyin debunks multiple claims commonly made about the monarchists, such as they would be seeking the restoration of landed nobility and that they seek to abolish democracy, which I think we're doing. Quite the contrary, Ilyin persuasively argues in eloquent language. In his pamphlets, he has argued for various benefits of the monarchy, including the often repeated claim that if Russia had been a monarchy in 1934, Samenkov could not have risen to power. In later publications by Ilyin, the idea of the coming war has also been raised. There are stories of terrible oppression of the Ukrainians at the hand of German occupiers, and of the total destruction of humanity in the totalitarian abysses of France and Britain. While Samenkov wanted war for his own glory, Ivan Solovych's cabinet and Baron Peter Wrangel did not want war. They merely recognized it as the inevitable fact and see it as their duty to prepare, as all Russian people should. Honestly, give this man his own ministry, lose 25 political power, gain 5% authoritarian democracy. True words, Ivan, we gain 5% popularity of authoritarian democracy and paternal autocrat, or perhaps tone it down a bit. Nope, true words. All right, with that, we're going to end the episode. We have a very, very, very nice encirclement down here in India. I'm really hoping the princely federations will join us. They get, let's see, they can come over here and join the wars, the world stage once they're done with Unify India. So maybe, hopefully, it's they've got a chance to join the Reichspakt, Co-Prosperity Sphere, the Moscow Accords, or the Istanbul Pact. If they join the Reichspakt, I think I'm just gonna cry because this is gonna be a very, very hard fight at the end of this. But we will see. We'll see what will come about this. Our goal, we will talk about in the next episode because I'd say the war is pretty close. I think it probably will happen into the next episode because we only have 266 days left. So we're very, very close to our final confrontation with the Reichspakt. Whether that's good or bad is up to be decided. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.